So I decided to come with the longest title among all of the talks you're going to see. So Platform Engineering Beyond the Tools, Lessons Learned Across the Industry. That sounds nice, right? Yeah. So of course you're going to get the same old slide. This is me. If you can't see me, like a bit more gray these days, like been in the industry for 20 years, so it brings some gray hair all the time. I have a slightly long background from starting out as a developer. My first job, I decided to implement POP3 protocol in C# because we were cheap and it was .NET version 1. So you had nothing back then. Many years later, running teams and becoming a CTO for a fairly big company, but with a few employees, switched over to running large-scale websites and doing crazy migrations and sprinkle some platform engineering on top. So we're all good here, right? Currently, I work as a solution architect with Efficode, focus on DevOps and AI. I am a co-organizer in the local CNCF group. I think it says core member, but it's called core contributor now at the Cloud Native Platform Engineering Technical Community Group. Very easy to say, so you can get longer titles. And I'm usually a co-facilitator of platform coffees around KubeCon, so it's people who like platform engineering, they meet up in the morning before the conference starts, having chats, and we try to facilitate good discussions. So that was like 5 minutes of time wasted for you guys, so. No, but we are here to talk about platform engineering, right? So who does platform engineering in here? All right, there's a few people who doesn't do it. That's good. So, of course, platform engineering used to be on the hype curve from Gartner. It was like peak of inflated expectations. Then we go to the throe of disillusionment, and hopefully we're on our way out of it. And it's been roughly 2 or 3 years journey on the hype curve, and we see all sorts of things in the industry. And of course, we need to talk about that. That's the fun here. So, is it a dream or a nightmare? So we're not going to go through an epic tale here. We have the promise, of course, and the promise is the beautiful Victorian garden in our server room. Everything looks good. We hear all of these wonderful presentations, how well it is, how people like it, the success rate we have with our platform, fancy quotes somewhere on a slide, and of course, all is good. But then we have reality. So what happens when we go for reality and talk to people who do platform engineering? Any guesses? Dead stuff? Oh, that's a good one. Almost. We get the Kubernetes and Backstage, and then we have a platform. And then we have one, clearly. We might reskin Backstage because then it feels like a personal thing for us and we're happy. That's not platform engineering, that's just a bunch of tools. What we usually find is this. Does anyone recognize which monster this is? It's a Hydra. What happens when you chop off the head of a Hydra? You get 2 new ones. So, when you do platform engineering, you introduce a tool, you get 2 new problems. Then you add another tool to that, and you get even further heads biting at you. And you're going to look like this sorry poor guy. I think of course it's AI generated, we all do that these days. So you have this human dwarf-ish type trying to fight the Hydra, but we're never going to succeed. So that's the common case of everything. But that's nice. But how did all of this come up? The monster. Everybody loves this landscape drawing from the CNCF. I intentionally took all of the projects, even though some of them are dead, and we included the commercial ones because when you're in an enterprise, you need the commercial option because you want the enterprise support, which is super nice, but how are you going to pick and choose what to use? So just add all of it and everything is good. But then we get all of the people with their super biased opinions. So now we jump into the bucket of experiences that Stefan had in his previous life or early in his life. I still cry at night sometimes. I had a platform engineer complaining at me that we couldn't use Argo CD because the way that Argo deploys an application into Kubernetes is not secure. And that was at the same time I had heard Uber talk about like the multiple layers of Argo. I heard banks talk about using Argo. We were not in a highly regulated industry. There was no need to go that far into the details. Like, the stuff we have to live through. So that's the fun things. In some cases, we also have competing standards or standards appearing that might never turn into anything. I really love a thing like SCORE. It has like the great idea of a simple manifest for your application. But do we see it in practice? Who knows? We might get yet another competing standard for it. But the fun thing you came for is probably Tales from the Crypt, right? You don't want to hear about all of the boring stories of CNCF landscape yet another time. So, Tales from the Crypt. We will have to go through caves, three caves here. The first, of course, is mindset. We cannot do platform engineering without a shift in our mindset. We cannot say that often enough. It doesn't matter if you rebranded your operations department. Rebranding an operations department, well, first to DevOps department, and then you rebrand it to platform engineering. That's a success. But it will never work. I've been at a customer where the operations department stole the platform engineering name, so the actual platform engineers had to be called developer enablement. Like, who's winning here? No one. What's the gain of taking the name platform engineering if you don't want to like take the concept in? But stuff we see. What about all of the fancy quotes? Have anyone ever seen this quote? If you build it, they will come. It's the best quote. It's the best horror story of what we shouldn't do in platform engineering. But what happens in reality? Well, we build it and we hope that people will come to our platform. But let's flip it around. If we invert it, just the first part, if you don't build it, what happens? Well, nothing happens. So you have to build something, but how do you do it? But the reason we had this sentence was to eliminate the silos and remove some of the better knowing people that show up. But we need to look at this instead. So I hope she looks like more like neutral good, while the other one was more like chaotic evil, if you know your role-playing references here. So if you build the right thing, they will come. And they actually will, because you are giving them some extra value when you build a good platform. But you have to be really careful. If you're a queen, you will have a fancy castle. How do you build a castle? Well, a castle is humongous. And if you try to build a humongous castle as the first thing, are we succeeding with platform engineering? This is when I'm looking at you. Are we succeeding if we build the biggest, greatest castle in the world? I hope you shake your head. So if we try to build the most fancy castle ever, we are going to fail because we're going to be done in 6 years and nobody's going to need it by then because we have Kubernetes version 375 and we started out at version 1 or something like that. So we need to build it in iterations and we need to think about value adds. If we rebrand from ops to platform engineering, we're still a cost center, we're not a product organization. If we do platform engineering right, we do a product organization, not project. So we also hear people showing up like, yeah, we built this great platform for this team because they have special needs. Don't attend to those with special needs first. Special needs are okay. Just make sure you can interconnect it. Build for the masses, build for the 80%, maybe 90%. 95 is good as well. Sometimes I would say, if you can even get 50% on your platform, it's good. So just make sure you build the right thing. And, of course, you don't need all the fancy bells and whistles. As said, if you build big, you will be failing. I was at a place where we were talking about fleet management. How many people in here do fleet management? I know there are a few in here. Fleet management of Kubernetes clusters? No one? Oh, a few. That's good. So we needed 5 clusters, 5 semi-pet clusters. Do you need fleet management for that? Absolutely not. So it took half a year to spin up the first Kubernetes cluster. How fast can you guys spin up a Kubernetes cluster that is fairly okay for production? 2 weeks? 1 day? 1 hour? Definitely not 6 months. Oh, by the way, when it was released after 6 months, it required 2 extra months of work to succeed. Yeah, That's great. But why do we end up here? Well, all of our great organizations, they're so like this constant dissonance inside of their head. How many people have seen the be an enabler? How many managers have told you be an enabler? Raise of hands. Oh, I see a few. Yeah. Usually it's said to the security departments, be an enabler. Don't be the guardrails here. How much do you have to pay for saying this sentence? You can swing by your team and like, oh, you're just being annoying now, be an enabler. And then you can leave and go into the next meeting. You're a good manager, all is good. Nobody's going to look angry at you. But it doesn't address the underlying issue. The reason we have it is we have a long history of silos and guardrails. Or even worse, gatekeeping. So we come with these siloed organizations. We want to change them. We sling the quote, be an enabler, all is good, mic drop, all is fixed. Nope. We need to change the mindset again. Oh, this guy and his soft values. Well, changing a mindset and a culture takes so much time. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, you can show the greatest presentation of your technical solution ever. It won't fix your organization and some of the odd biases you have in your organization. Sometimes we need to change people. Might be engineers in your teams, might be managers, might be the C-level of a company if everything goes really down the drain. But it just takes time, and sometimes we're not even allowing ourselves to think about if we have the right people for the job. Because we're nice guys, we won't get rid of anyone, but sometimes you just need to leave the bakery if you don't like baking this cake. So, of course, we're not done. We can't afford slowing down. If we don't slow down, how are we going to build new stuff? Because the organization wants all of the stability and reliability. And of course, we are already running at 200 kilometers per hour, so we can hardly keep up, and we're not getting any more employees for this. So we hope that things are going to be great. But we want all of this fancy new technology. Sometimes people even ask for something as fancy as AI. How are we going to fit that in if we were already running and we try to squeeze in and try to make it work? We don't understand it, but hopefully it works. Then we don't have reliability and uptime anymore. So of course, it's not any different from Agile or DevOps. It's practices, it's mindsets, and no matter what tool we buy, it's not going to fix it. So, slightly about the mindset, and we need to change things. One of the organizations I was in was 400 platform engineers. It's not 400, that's a crazy number. It would be good, it would be fun. Then I would definitely do fleet management. No, 40 platform engineers supporting 1,000 developers, but no clear direction. So people were scrambling, building all sorts of weird things and trying to do the fleet management thing on the side and supporting people and not listening to developers and having angry principal engineers showing up like, why won't you support this single team? We're not here for that single team, we're here for the rest. So, angry, dissonant organizations. What about customers? I really loved Mauritius' talk this morning, like we need to figure out what the developers actually want. Like, it's why you are there as platform engineers. You're here to support the developers and your business. So, anybody works in marketing? Anybody collabs with marketing? Anyone heard of a go-to-market strategy? Yeah, all right. If you build a new platform, you need a go-to-market strategy, and you need to have a product that has a market fit. So, welcome to Marketing 101. No, I'm not going to be that evil. But what do your customers actually need? Well, developers, they don't want to know about infrastructure. Here we hoped it would be a bright world where they want to know about networks and subnets and all sorts of weird things you can do with whatever you have in your Kubernetes cluster. Honestly, they just want to write code. They just want to support the business, worry about their business domain, be mastering their programming language of choice or trying a new one. But do they get it? No. They get all of the lovely, intricate details of YAML. But they don't want to write YAML. Some of them might want to write a spec for something in Kubernetes. Well, you can do that. Then you throw a CLI tool to them, trying to help them. Well, I grew up as a .NET developer. Everything happened inside of Visual Studio. What on earth is this behemoth called a CLI? I want my ClickUps back. So you need to know your developers. And if they're stuck in doing ClickUps, I'm not saying you should allow them to stay in ClickUps forever, but you need to apply the Goldilocks principle. Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. You need to push them in small steps all of the time. Because if you try to throw them into a CLI tool and they've never seen a terminal, you're losing them. So give them the right thing at the right time. It's not easy. And you need to find your good friends. Always find good friends inside your organization. If you have no friends, well, you're all alone. And you will die all alone at some point. If you need new capabilities, find good collaborators. They know exactly what they need or have an idea about what they need. And when you build a new capability, always think about at least 3 different personas. The new guy came straight out of the university, it's his first day on the job. How can he actually learn how to use this? The developer that has been here for at least a year or 2, how will he approach it? Then we have the old neckbeard developer. He wants to know all of the details, make sure he can expand the guide and see the details. So there are multiple approaches here because nothing fits all. You might get away with getting started, that is just the highlight of the story from the beginning, but you need to expand it when you have 20 guys knocking on your door like, I want to know the details of how many CPUs and memory I get. You just say it's 1 unit. What does it mean? Well, the new guy, he doesn't even know about CPU and memory in Kubernetes, he just wants to deploy stuff. It's all good. And you need to talk to more than just your regular friends. I've been at customers where they sit right next to a team. That was the only team that gave them feedback. You're not really building for the masses if you build for your neighbor. And sometimes you get the lovely platform engineer that states quite openly in a meeting for 1,000 developers need to know more about Kubernetes. As Mauricio said, you need to know some things about Kubernetes. What he meant is you need to know how to spin up Kubernetes, understand how the network works, how everything runs inside a node. Do I need to know that as a front-end developer? No. So don't overload them and overburden them with weird details they don't want to know. Because you don't want to know all of the intricate details of their programming language either. Well, some might do, but that's how it is. So have some interviews. Prototype stuff together with them. Figure out if you can actually cut stuff away because it's saying defaults or something like that. Ask them what they expect. Do they expect access to override things in Kubernetes, or do they just want to deploy stuff? And well, tell them what you can automate. The more you can automate, the more happy they'll be for your presence in the room. And good defaults will take you a long way. We had some setup with some default values in our deployment. It was all good. The only issue was it wasn't written anywhere, so you couldn't see the defaults. So everybody just added enough. And when people add enough, it's always too much. So just be very clear on what you do. And of course, there are more than developers when you build something. Talk to compliance, security, the janitor, whoever fits into your platform. Make sure they can all voice their opinion. You might have a product manager, you might have a CFO, you might have a CISO that needs to have some insights. You might have site reliability engineers that need access as well. But the essence here is the Spice Girls principle. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And that is not, the response is not CPU and memory. What are you trying to achieve? But always remember the Spice Girls. I grew up in the 90s, so all is good. It's so nice. I can still hear the song no matter what happens. But one thing is the collaboration. How do we get feedback about things? Well, we need to collect some feedback. And how do we collect feedback? Well, we're very deliberate about it. And it's not really just how are things performing, but that is a key part of it. It can be technical metrics. It can be SLIs if you come from the SRE world, service level indicators. that is more than just looking at uptime or CPU load. Could be transactions per minute, hour, day, revenue per week, or whatever. So figure out what's important for your customers or the team or the business unit they're tied into. Make sure you actually measure on this and understand the feedback you get. And it might actually need to lead to simplicity sometimes, because sometimes stuff is not used, or you have so much maintenance on it, it doesn't really make sense to use it anymore. How many of you kill services on a regular basis, delete stuff in your Kubernetes clusters? And that's a few. Well, more than I expected. I was expecting like one hand from a guy that was lying. Killing stuff is good. Gather structured feedback. Send out surveys if you have a way of doing that. Interviews, or other things. I used to have a service designer in a team. That was so nice. She spent so much time collecting feedback and trying to give feedback to the platform engineers. Just hope they listened. Then we have the important one, the coffee and cookie principle. So how do you get unstructured feedback? Grab your bag of coffee, cup of coffee, pot of coffee, bag of cookies, go to a random team, sit down with them. Hopefully they're on your platform unless you're trying to build something new. Have a casual chat. Build a relation to them. I know it's scary talking to other people and like trying to be nice guys, but build some relation to them so you can get this unstructured feedback. When you get feedback, do it with open arms, because you will get honest, very angry feedback at some points. But you need to filter that at some point, because some people will be overly angry as well. But it's not good enough only with a principle, because of course we have stickers. So when you leave, you can get your coffee and cookie principle sticker. So everything sells with stickers, we know that. And when we have the feedback, we know what they want. Do we do paved paths or fenced gardens? How many love fenced gardens? Raise of hands. Yep. Do you guys work in security? How many people love paved paths or well-lit paths, or whatever we call them? So we need to shed some light on it. Well, large organizations, they always have the high fences because everything is complex, we cannot allow anything. So that leads to high conflict levels, because security comes around saying, you cannot do that, we want to do that, and then you start fighting. Then you might have compliance coming in from the side, like, this doesn't look correct, neither from security or application side. So we have a lot of conflicts, and we have a lot of distrust in our organizations when we start building these fences. We don't know what's going on the other side, which we're definitely not talking about how to solve it. But what if we could actually lower this friction and show value? Wouldn't that be great? So like integrating your dependency scanning into your build pipelines without developers have to do anything, give access to compliance so they can just pull like a compliance report, that would be lovely. It happens to customers. We like that. So build in the security. You might have policies that prevent you from doing stupid things, and you need to tell the story of like, we're trying to make sure you can actually comply with this, because legal stuff, it's a you must do. It's not a like, if you like to do it. Legal stuff does mean you have to do it. You can get fines or anything like that for it, and that's how it is. Sometimes, automatic reports for compliance, organizational flexibility. If you have paved paths, you might actually be able to bring people from another team to your team, so you can actually like speed up. You might have well-known languages in your organization, which means when the F# guy leaves, you're not stuck with this F# service nobody knows how to maintain. If you only have 2 people working on that C# service or F# service, when the first guy leaves, he's going to bring the other guy, and then you're stuck in the mud again. I've seen that happen. That was fun. They spent 3 weeks rewriting everything to C# because they had plenty of C# developers. Right. So we've built our platform. We know exactly what to do. Well, do they know we have a platform? So we need to start small and easy. find all of the good guys. If we set these unrealistic goals of onboarding 95% within 2 weeks, it's not going to happen. Then we're going to mandate the platform, which is going to make things even better. Mandated platforms will never be a good thing. It's optional to join the platform. I know it's not like that in every organization, but it should be. But make sure it's beneficial to join the platform. And the better way is, of course, thinking about advertising. So we need to go back to marketing again. So give the platform a name. Give it a logo. And what happens next? When you have a name and a logo, you have stickers. Honestly, I've seen teams doing stickers for a build pipeline. People came up to the tables like, do you have more stickers? When are you getting them reprinted? We want more. For a build pipeline. It works. So AI can actually help you with this. This is like one prompt asking for I think it was it a software deployment platform with a logo that resembles some Nordic mythology, and it came up with the Yggdrasil. Like you could print that and give it to the developers, they would be happy. Nobody would actually know what it is, but it looks cool. But you have to remember, it only takes you so far. Because sometimes adoption stops. What do? Well, have you tried candy? A bowl of cookies? Where do people join the office in the morning? Go next to the door, everybody comes in like, hi, you're a software developer. All right. Have you heard about your Lord and Savior called this platform? We all know these guys, but it actually works if you have like a sticker and a small bag of candy. They will remember you. It's cheap tricks. But you have to remember, not every customer is a good customer as well. Sometimes people are not ready to join your platform. You need to figure out how to handle that. If it's something you should handle. Oh, then we have the behemoth, the elephant in the room. Portals. We all know portals means backstage, right? Yeah, I thought so. Spinning up backstage is not the solution. We need to figure out like what is a modern portal and what can it do for us. A modern portal will actually help us kick off our initiatives. It'll help us push people in the right direction or nudge them. It's better to say nudge. We're not pushing people these days. So it should be able to run initiatives. It should embrace multiple personas. Again, we might have the security team or anyone else that needs to sort of look into our platform, figure out what's going on. FinOps guys, they love looking at numbers. If you can link from their numbers directly to services, it's way easier to have that chat later on when you need to like scale down or scale up or switch to another instance type because you might save money. So a lot of options. You can use it for collecting feedbacks. There are some great portals that can actually send out surveys. It's nice. You can get some sort of structure in your chaos. It can assist you in like who many people knows about ownership for all of your services. A good portal can help you with that. And it embraces all of these personas. And especially not only for developers. Super nice. And if it's really good, it can track usage of different features, so you can kill off stuff again. It's great, isn't it? And then we need our community to help us. Nothing works without a good community. If you run any champion programs, security, whatever, testing champion program, you know that you need a community to succeed. And we need a community around our platform as well. But how do you build it? Well, stickers. If you have the stickers, you can hand it out to the ambassadors in the beginning. People will see it and they'll be happy. But you need to find those that actually see value in it. If you bring all in these angry, old, grumpy, senior principal developers that hates everything about your platform, you're not going to get a good community. You might have to kick them out and settle with them. Yes. And yes, bring the critical voice, but not the overcritical one. Make sure you actually have a person in your team that knows how to run a community, or at least is open to running a community. You don't have to be a raging extrovert to do it. Actually, I'm quite introverted, but still I'm here, which is sort of hilarious. Ask them to help you tweak and tune your documentation. The best documentation is actually written by people who use it on a daily basis because they know what they're looking for. And we all have good documentation, we know, right? We all love writing documentation. We ran a session with a tech writer. There was 300 attendees in how to write good documentation. People actually cared, they just didn't have the time and the knowledge on what to write. It's helpful. So, essence of everything. We need the right mindset. We need to build the product. We need to figure out what the developers want because we'll be dancing around the hallways singing Spice Girls all day long. And we need to have a good relation with them. No good relation, no success. And plan for your progress. Like have some goals. And actually you can get some help in CNCF in planning the future. Not to the intricate details. Rome wasn't really built in a day. As I said, this is a platform engineering tech community group. We actually try to help you. So we have a platform white paper that was written in 2023. Later that year, the maturity model came out. How many people know the maturity model from CNCF for platform engineering? Oh, surprisingly few. I'm not surprised, actually. It's about investment, adoption, interfaces, operations, and measurement. And you think measurement, oh, metrics, no. It's for how the platform is being used. And the operations is how do you operate your evolution of your platform. So it's more about the platform than people actually being on it. You can have a graph like this that sort of like shows how complex things can be. Everybody loves graphs. But you need to figure out where you are. That's actually the key point to it. And you actually need to figure out where you want to go. And that's the main thing of the maturity model. It's not here to put you in a box and say you're done. Trying to jump from level 1 to level 4 is crazy because you will be missing stuff in the middle. You might not have to go to level 4. If we think about uptime, adding an extra 9 to our uptime, that's expensive. The same thing is, the further you go to the right, the more expensive it is to gain those levels. And it is for everyone. If you're a startup, if you're an enterprise, whatever you are, the maturity model is for you. How to interpret it? Well, we've tried to make it a bit easier. We're not really done yet, but if you scan this QR code, you will come to a fairly ugly website that has sort of like a high-level assessment. I see people reaching for their phones, that's good. And you can actually take this test. It's horrible design, but it actually took quite some time to come up with decent questions for this. I think we had a pool of 300 questions or so, and some of the questions were really odd and didn't highlight the right things because people thought measurement was about figuring out the return of investment of your platform. That's not the case. So if you take this one, you get like a slight peek into some of the easy things. If you want to like have a deep dive in your maturity model, you will have to spend more time, have some people who can actually ask you the right questions. I'm not trying to sell you anything here, don't worry. But you need to read through the maturity model and understand where you fit in those levels. One thing that came out of writing these questions is that we need to review the white paper and the maturity model because there are opposing things in some of the levels. So it's not perfect, but we're getting there. Everybody finished the scan? All good? And that was actually almost it. But remember, who was here in 2023? Do you recall a guy called Robert Strand? He said, it's your user's platform, not your platform. Best quote ever. Listen to them. Progress comes in small steps. And last but not least, don't rush it. If you need all of the boring details about me, well, here it is. And that was all, folks. And there are stickers.